Hey guys, welcome back to Kent TCG. Today we got
JD.
And what did you do to at regionals?
Regionals yesterday, I got 23rd.
With
Branded ELDLICH. I got my first ever invite.
Yo.
Haven't been to regionals in like 2 or 3 years, and so playing 8 rounds of Yu-Gi-Oh was fun and quite exhausting, but it
was
ended up
pretty
being good
exhausting.
because I got the invite. So
yeah, you got the invite.
I got the invite, so it was fine.
So
Ended up
it was
having
valid.
like 5 of our friends end up topping too.
Yeah.
Which was crazy.
Yeah, like Flunders and stuff like that. I got tops.
But yeah, so we'll go to the deck profile first. So the main deck, we got 2 Golden Lord,
Pretty standard.
2 Heavenly Prison. So 3 would be probably ideal. I didn't miss it at all because it came up when it came up, and no one the only time someone tried to resolve Lightning Storm, it was already in game 3 and I saw him judgmented. So it was it came up but it didn't. And then the Necro World Banshee for the Zombie World package because Zombie World is pretty good. And then 1 Fallen. Honestly, one I kind of wish I had a second sometimes, because once you were done with it, you were done with it. And so not being able to resolve a second one or use it as material kind of hurt. But it didn't really cost me any games, which was good. But that's it for the monsters.
Yeah, it feels like 2 of them would probably be.
Yeah, and being able to just, even if I draw it, that way if I draw it and then use it as a material, that way Branded Fusion doesn't really become dead. But yeah, anyway, 3 cursed, 1 black, 1 white. I sided this out pretty much every time I went into game 2. It seems like it's only good when I go second. And it's okay when you go first, that way you can just have Golden Lord in cycle. But I sided it out a lot. I think you really only need the white. But it did all right, I guess. But then for that, you just 3 Branded Fusion, the standard for that. 2 Zombie World, because that way if you draw it, Necro World Banshee. And plus, what I really like about the branded stuff is being able to, you either go into Lebellion or Albion, because if you want Golden Lord engraved to start using that, you just use it as a fusion material, or you use the Necro World Banshee to get the Zombie World from deck, and then you get your fusion set up. So it's pretty nice being able to just have more resources by using those as fusion materials. And then 3 Extrav. I think I liked getting just the draw 2 over Prosperity, because drawing 2 came up a lot more than just finding one singular card. It hurt me once or twice, but not to the point where it costed me anything.
Yeah, which is pretty good because it was 8 round Swiss.
And
so
yeah, it was 8 round Swiss.
for 8 rounds, extra I've only doing it twice. It's pretty good.
Yeah. And then for the traps, the basic 3 Sanguine, 3 Conch, 2 Aquero, and then 1 Golden Land. This actually came up a lot searching it mid to late game. And then Aquero was alright, and then those Conch was the MVP against Brave and Therion. Hitting the, was it Fateful? So then we got 2 Rivalry, 2 Tikaboo, and 3 Skill Drain. I'm not gonna lie, Tikaboo came up a decent amount when I drew it, but I would play 3 Rivalry, because the Zombie World lock, I kind of wish I was able to do that a little more consistently. And the fact that you can get Zombie World a lot easier, I want to be able to draw that as soon as possible. And so I definitely think I would add an extra copy of that.
Yeah, so no Gozen match in main.
No Gozen in main, which I feel like wouldn't have done much. Most of my matchups, I never really missed it. Like in some of the weird, like in some of the synchro builds and stuff, maybe, but like honestly, I was fine without it. And then 3 strike and 2 prison, which Ice Dragon's prison is really weird. My whole theory behind it was if I get Zombie World on field, Ice Dragon's prison becomes kind of crazy because it really just lets me do whatever. Like I can target any monster in grave and then banish one of their monsters for free. I don't have to worry about it because they're all gonna be zombies. I never really got to resolve it though. But like a lot of these, like strike, the only time I striked was on like an Ash for like either Branded Fusion or Extravagance. And then if I saw the skill drain or like floodgates, then I saw it. But those also didn't do a whole lot. But you still want to play them obviously because it wins so many games.
For sure.
For extra deck, we got the Albion, Lubellion, Ice Jade. You want to play 2 of each because that way, if you with playing Extrav, you don't get a pick, so you're kind of gambling with it. But if I like banished like 2 of these off, then I still had an option to make the Mirror Jade. Because most of the time, all you do is just make the Mirror Jade, just for the banishing effect. So like, it was fine. Like I didn't really have to worry about Extravagance killing it. And then that, which I never made it. Like if I thought about making it, maybe it would have been good, but because its effect is kind of crazy, but it just didn't come up. Same with the Dragon Necro. Like I think I drew Albaz once with Zombie World, but like it got negated, and so it was kind of just, it didn't do anything. And then the trains. This won me a game. Never went into that. But you still want to play it because
it's crazy how you didn't go into Levy at all for 8 rounds. I says it's crazy how you didn't go into Levy.
I know.
For 8
well,
rounds.
Most of the time I either like just out resourced or floodgated enough to the point where I didn't really need to worry about it. And then 2 Link Spiders just to link off with the traps, and then Vampire Sucker because you can just use the traps. And once you got Zombie World on field, it's pretty easy just like to bring one of their like hand traps back to the field to get a free draw, and then even summoning your Eldlich and stuff. It's pretty decent. Well, I guess not Eldlich because it has to be from grave.
Yeah. Now for the side deck.
Okay, so I only really went into 6 cards. Okay, so I went into 9 of them, but the best, like the goated cards of the side deck were those.
Yeah.
So I ended up going X2-1, which doesn't sound crazy, but through all 8 rounds of Swiss, I won exactly a single die roll. So pretty much every single round, I lost game 1 because they just had full setup. So I really had to just win game 2 and 3. And so going first, like I just sided in judgments mostly, and those did like fine because I got to set up my generic like floodgate, mirror jade, stuff like that. And I normally just won it because like rivalry with Zombie World or Tikaboo against a lot of decks is just enough. Especially if they don't know what you're playing. Like round 1, I went against Therion ABC, and he made his combo, and I just scooped and went to game 2. And then rivalry and Zombie World and Tikaboo and everything is just too much. And then game 3 normally, like if I draw the outs, then I draw the outs.
Yeah, you just lava golem their board and then battle phase into battle phase just evenly.
Those literally are like the main, like I won so many games to that. Like round 1, I won in time because I had 2 rounds not go into time. Other than that, all of the 6 other rounds either went to time or was like a couple minutes like before time. And so it was a long grind. But Lava Golem literally won game 3 because it burned for 1,000 and time was called. And then 3D barrier, which I think I said it at once, but I feel like it didn't really do much. Like it never became optimal, especially because I lost like every die roll, so I was mostly gonna be like going first, and I'd rather just have the judgment or goes in, which I never like saw it, and I don't think it would have really mattered that much. So it was like an all right card. And then Harpies. This was like kind of just miscellaneous. Honestly, I think I would have either put it in main deck or found something better to put in the side. Because these like were the main things that did like those were the main sightings. And they did so well. Like normally, like if you draw these against like any of the synchro combo decks or just really any of them, it's normally a win because you plus like 6 at times and they just can't out resource at that point. As long as you draw one of the 2 engines, it's normally completely fine. So yeah, that was really all I needed in that.
Yeah,
I may try and find something else. Harpies came up once against a Dinomorphia player. Because he's step 5, and I just Feather Duster. So, I mean, it didn't do much because, the fusions can banish them, but it made it so I didn't have to worry about them twice, basically. Not in the same turn because it's, like, once, but, like, I didn't have to worry about it consistently because they do have to be banished. So that was good, but Evenly and Lava Golem, I think, definitely was the best because even Solemn Judgment only came up like once or twice. But yeah.
Yeah, that concludes it. So what were your matchups?
Okay, so I have a list because it was hard to remember. So round 1, I went against the Therion ABC, that's the one I won in time because of Lava Golem. Round 2, I went against Brave Punk, which I think that might have been my one win with the die roll, and I got 2-0'd pretty bad. Round 3, I went against Sword Soul. Like, it was like True King with True Draco cards. It was interesting because, like, the water one can summon a worm. But, he, like, I don't know if he was intentionally, like, trying to slow play me because...
It honestly sounds like it, though.
Because he plays it like a more popular area, and he was playing meta, but he didn't understand, like, I'd mentioned what a card does, and he'd ask, like, what it did again, and then was like, I don't understand. And so eventually we got to the point where he was doing, like, all games. So we were in game 3, and there was, like, 2 minutes left. He did his full board, and I ended up saying, tribute those 2 monsters. I was tributing, like, a Baron and a Shishao, I think. And so I said, tribute, and he's like, I don't understand. And he did it, like, twice, and then was, like, wanting to respond, and I had to explain, like, you can't respond to a tribute.
Yeah, you can't respond. It just happens. It just happens, bro. It just happens.
I end up tributing the 2 and then evenly matched because I drew both, going second, and he banishes everything, and then I set Tikaboo, Scarlet, and Conk, and pass, and so at that point he has 1 card in hand, draws, gets Shuna, I think is the one. It was one of the tennies. Summoned it, I flipped Tikaboo, and I explained, like, he can't go into worms now, like any other worms. And so he once again says he doesn't understand, like, twice. So I'm like, at that point I was like, do you want me to just call the judge? So I called the judge, I explained it, and the judge was like, yes, that is how that works. And I noticed, like, earlier I noticed he had double sleeves and one of them wasn't sleeved. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna chill. Like, I don't care. It's not a big deal. I'll make sure it's not on top of the deck. Like, that way if he is cheating or something, it's like, I don't gotta worry about it. Well, because of how long he took to just listen to how my cards worked, or just wouldn't accept or like question every little thing what a card does. Even after reading it, I was like, I cut his deck, and it ended up being on the top. And we had the judge watching because there was like a minute left. So I was like, what's this? Normally, I'm not petty. But after like 40 minutes of him doing it, I was like to the point where if he's going to either try and play me for time and take the tie, because I do have game, or like just tell the judge. And so I was like, what's this? And the judge notices it, and then eventually, and he just ends up saying, you got it anyway. And I don't know if he was just going to try and play for time. And the judge, like, the fact that the judge was watching and I noticed the sleeve, that's why he just gave it to me. But I just had to do that because that was probably the worst, like, the hardest opponent to deal with. Normally, like, they're normally laid back, but that one was painful. And then round 4 went against Dinomorphia, which that was interesting. I ended up winning in time, and he had 32. He ended with 32 and a half life points, which we couldn't keep track on the calculator anymore. And so it was time in the round because he had like all of them, and I had Sucker, 2 Golden Lords, and Heavenly Prison, and I had the 3 in defense and the Sucker, obviously. And so he attacked, and I still had like 3 or 4K, and I was like, at this point, if he can't kill me this turn, I win because time was almost called. Dinomorphia cuts it like over and over. And so eventually time in the round gets called. He thought it was a tie, and I explained to him, like, since I had higher life points somewhere in game 3, that it went to me. And so we had to have a judge explain how that worked to him. And then he had to be like, oh, I would have won anyway, blah, blah, which, that's fine. Like, he may have, but I'm not going to just give up the win. Like, you got to be careful with the time rule. Round 5 was against Flunder, which he won the die roll. Obviously, I lost like every single die roll.
Yeah.
But it was a 2-0 sweep because Flunder, I was like worried going into it, and I play tested against my friend a lot the night before, but it ended up being it was a lot easier for me to beat than I thought, because I just didn't have to worry about win barrier because I could just like send it with Golden Lord, and eventually like just slowly beating it down and then activating Zombie World. Zombie World is so good against that deck. So I ended up winning game 1, and then game 2 he went first, obviously, and I only sided in the 3 evenly match because I was like, Lava Golem's not going to really do me anything against Wind Barrier. So we go, he sets up board, Dreaming Town, everything, and so I drew for turn, and I went battle phase, and then he changed the Dreaming Town, plays on my turn, gets Avian, which is the spell and trap. I think it's just an Omni negate by returning. But so I activate evenly, he bounces it, and then I just evenly him again. And then I had Branded Fusion, gone to Zombie World, and Mirror Jade with, like, I think Rivalry and Golden Lord, and it was just a win at that point. And then round 6, I went against Branded Despia. I joke about that deck being a buy, but
yeah, dude, it's really difficult sometimes.
It was painful. He rolled a 4. He rolled 2 2s, and I was like, it's time. We finally gonna win a second die roll.
Nope.
And then I proceeded to roll a 3. And so game 1 I bricked pretty bad, and so he killed me. Game 2, he kind of just had everything. Like, I drew mostly just Eldritch stuff, no floodgates. I had Zombie World, which does nothing really, and so I got spanked. Like, he just like fusion 4 guys and just kill me. Round 7, I went against Brave Punk, which I was getting payback for before, not against the same guy, but game 1, he set 1 past, so I was like, all right. Golden Lord sent the face down, and it was a scythe, and so he had only drawn like hand traps and stuff. And so I killed him that game. He just scooped him. We went to game 2. Game 2, he's played Herald, Hulk, Pass. And so I had Lava Golem evenly, which all I did was just tribute the 2 of them, make Lava Golem. I had Cursed, Eldland, and then some like other things. and I ended up just out. I just won because he got to the point where he had to just set pass, and I made Gustav burned for 2K. He was at 19, and then I brought Golden Lord back and just killed him. And round 8 was, I don't know if it's considered Synchro Eldritch, like 60 card Synchro Eldritch, because it was the Rose, Dragon, Brave, Punk, Eldritch. So I'm guessing it's the Synchro 60 card Eldritch. But game 1 literally took 35 minutes of the 40 minutes, and I won. But we were literally to the point where he had like 30 cards banished and was just Eldritch looping until he ran out of resources, and I was like on the brink too. I didn't have any, like, I had one elixir left set, and that's how we did it, and we were just basically getting to the point, and I actually was able to banish his last Golden Lord, and then he went to Snow with a Con field, and I flipped Rivalry, so he banished the 7 for nothing, and so I ended up winning it. And then game 2, he did his thing. I ended up just setting a few, but by the time we were like getting there, it was like a minute left, and so we didn't have time to side and get everything ready for game 3 without drawing. So we ended up just tying, but I got the top, so it's fine.
Yes, sir.
It's like either we scoop game 2, go to game 3, and see if I can do damage and guarantee my top, or I just play the risk game, which there ended up being 4 of us that went X2-1, and 1 of us missed out. The rest ended up topping. But overall, it was a good experience, and it was my first invite. I don't think I'm going to be able to go, but it was still really cool.
Yes, sir.
I am glad I was able to spend the time with the boys and do well.
No, it was a lot of fun. So anything else?
No, I think that's all.
Yeah, any shout-outs to anybody?
Well, shout out to everyone that we hung out with.
Yes, sir.
We ended up going to Chili's. Told everyone it was our friend's told the waitress it was our friend's birthday, but it wasn't.
Yeah, that shit was funny, bro.
Yeah, no, just shout out to all the boys. It was a lot of fun. And I'm excited to do more now. So.
Yes, sir. Well, it was fun.
Yeah.
All right, see ya.
All right, peace out.